Hello, my name is Dylan, but you can call me Buttercup. Welcome to Buttercup Yarn Art, the soft-spoken video journal where I play with yarn and share my thoughts. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If there's anything you'd like to hear me talk about, please leave a comment to let me know. I still have the Gigi Cardi in progress, and I'm still working on the secret projects. But today I kind of felt like doing something a little different. I have these stitch markers that I got as part of a kit, and I want to add jump rings to them so that they're a little more versatile for what I like to use them for. So I thought, why not do that for a video? So that's what you'll be looking at today. And I have my fun little jump ring opener ring, if my camera will focus on it. But you know, I'm just gonna be assembling these as I talk today. So what I want to talk about today is just some projects that are coming up. I don't really have anything in particular to talk about, so I might as well give a little peek into some future projects. It's possible I've talked about these before, but oh well. I talked recently about the modified sorrel sweater that I'm going to make. So I'm not going to talk about that today. What I am going to talk about is instead a blanket that I have planned. I am going to be making myself a new blanket. It's going to be queen size. That's what I'm aiming for anyway. And I didn't want to make a new blanket like ever again. I was done with blankets. I'm gonna open these up off camera. But I had made the blanket that's currently on my bed a while back, and I was just kind of over making blankets. Like, it took so long and it was such a big project. I just didn't want to do that again. Close it up off camera too. But my current blanket is made of acrylic, and my cats have decided that it is the best place when they need to throw up. And acrylic, when you wash it, leaches microplastics into the water, and I would like to stop doing that. So I am going to make a new blanket out of cotton so that it won't leach microplastics every time I have to wash it. And I have the yarn that I'm going to use. I'm not going to use a written out blanket pattern, but I have a stitch dictionary that I'm going to use a stitch pattern from. I went through a whole process of elimination to pick out which stitch pattern I want to do. I went for something with kind of a similar look, but a very different method. And it's going to be really interesting, I think. It's going to take a while because it's kind of huge, but I am hoping that it'll keep my interest the whole time that I'm working on it. And that I'm sure it's going to be worth it. I don't have any doubts about that. Just gonna take a while. Which I'm not particularly looking forward to. But it'll be worth it. And when the new one is done, I can give the old one to a new home where it can be loved and used and, appreciated and hopefully not thrown up on by cats. And that's going to be crochet, because the idea of knitting a blanket kind of makes me bulk. So I'm not going to. I'm going to crochet it instead. And then I know I've talked about this before, but I have a couple of all over cable sweaters that I'm planning on making, and that I'm excited to have when they're done. Plus it's cable knitting, which I really like doing. So that's exciting on its own. One is going to be made from the rest of the hemp yarn that I have, that I used for my All of the Lights cardigan by Joji Locatelli. I had initially thought that I would only need half of the hemp yarn for All of the Lights, and then I wound up needing a little bit more. So I'm not going to be able to make the pullover all over cable sweater as loose fitting as I would have wanted, but that's okay. I should have enough to make it properly fitted rather than oversized. And I'm going to be making a second of that same pattern. I have a bunch of maroon cotton yarn. And I made sure to get enough to just make it completely oversized and cozy and nice. So I will have a really big oversized version of it. I wanted to, but one will have to do. And I guess the last time I added jump rings to stitch markers, I got kind of good at it, because I was expecting that to take a lot longer than it did. I wasn't expecting to get through all of them in this video, but I guess I got good. So that's fun. But I guess I'll talk about where I got these stitch markers. Oink Pigments does a Halloween kit, and I got it last year. I made a gorgeous shawl out of it, and so I got this year's as well, and it came with some cool Halloween little goodies, including these stitch markers. And initially they were just on the bulb pins with no jump rings, and the holes are just small enough that they can't hang down on this part. They're like just too small for that. So I wanted to add these jump rings because I like to use the stitch markers with this big bulb here rather than at the narrow end on my needles. And in order to do that, I needed to add the jump ring so that they could hang down at the narrow end. So I did. I have so many more jump rings. I got a ton, because I had gotten some other stitch markers that had kind of the same problem. So I went out and got jump rings and a jump ring opener, and the first time I did it, I was just using my fingers to open the jump rings, and that was a little painful, and it took me a little too long to figure out that using tweezers to open the jump rings would be a little bit more comfortable. So now that I know that, it's a much easier process. But I look forward to using these now that they have the jump rings in them. And I hope you enjoyed that quick peek into my future projects. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.